Hello and welcome. If you've ever felt that little jolt of panic during the Toefl listening section, trust me, you are in the right place. It can seriously feel like one of the toughest parts of the whole exam. But today, we're going to pull back the curtain and turn all that anxiety into a solid, confident strategy for success. So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at what makes the listening section such a challenge. Then, we'll expose the 6 most common traps that trip students up. And after that, we'll get into the good stuff, giving you the tools to beat them. We're talking note-taking, active listening, and building up that mental stamina.
All right, first up, the listening test gauntlet. Let's really set the stage and figure out why this section can feel like such an absolute marathon.
That's a great question, isn't it? The test isn't just seeing if you can follow a casual chat. Nope. It's designed to see if you can understand lectures and campus discussions, just like you would at a real university. And that, my friends, is a whole different ballgame.
Let's look at the breakdown, straight from the source, ETS. You're facing about 36 minutes of pure listening, with 28 questions thrown at you. And it's a mix of dense academic lectures and more casual campus conversations. So you have to keep switching gears in your brain, all while that clock is ticking away.
Okay, let's get to the heart of it. We're going to dive into the 6 most common traps that catch even the best students off guard. Because once you know your enemy, you can build a plan to outsmart it every single time.
First up is the focus trap. These lectures can be 5 minutes long and you only get one chance to hear them. No replays. It is so incredibly easy for your mind to just drift for a few seconds. But in that moment, you can miss the one key detail you need for a question.
Trap number 2 is all about the different voices. The Toefl is going to throw speakers at you with all kinds of accents. American, British, Australian, you name it. If you've only ever practiced with one type of accent, hearing a new one at full speed can be really jarring.
And then there's the vocab trap. The lectures will casually drop technical terms from subjects like biology or art history. It's so easy to hear a word you don't know and just panic. And that split second of hesitation can make you lose the entire thread of what's being said.
And hey, this isn't just a feeling. The data shows it. A full quarter of all test takers said they struggled with this specific academic language. It's a massive, well-known hurdle.
Now, trap number 4 is a little more subtle. It's not about what is said, but how it's said. The test loves to ask about the speaker's attitude. Are they excited? Are they skeptical? You have to pick up on all those little clues in their tone of voice.
And if you think this is tricky, well, you're in good company. Look at this. Nearly a third of everyone taking the test struggles with figuring out the speaker's attitude. It's a skill that you really have to practice on purpose.
The 5th trap has nothing to do with the audio. It's all in the questions and answers. The test writers are masters of creating answer choices that are almost right. They'll use words you heard in the lecture, but twist the meaning just enough to catch you if you're rushing.
Just think about that for a second. More than a third of wrong answers come from misunderstanding the question, not the audio. It just proves that listening is only half the battle. You also have to be a detective when you read those answer choices.
And the final trap, the clock. It's relentless, you've got a strict time limit, which breaks down to about 90 seconds per question. If you get stuck on one, it can start a domino effect that could stop you from even finishing, and that can be absolutely devastating to your score.
Okay, we know the enemy. Now, how do we fight back? Let's talk solutions. We're going to start with your single most powerful weapon for this section, the art of taking great notes.
Now, before we dive into how to take notes, I have to show you this. It's from a Reddit user who scored a perfect 30 out of 30. Their advice? Just don't take notes at all. Visualize it instead. Which is wild, right? It's a great reminder that there's no single correct way to do this. But for most of us, trying to remember 5 minutes of dense academic talk is, well, pretty much impossible. So let's look at a structured approach that works for the vast majority of people.
You've got to remember, the goal isn't to write a perfect transcript. That's impossible. If you try writing in full sentences, you will fall behind, guaranteed. Instead, effective notes are just keywords, symbols, and abbreviations designed to do one thing: jog your memory when you get to the questions.
Let's make this super practical. Here are 3 simple rules. 1. Only write down the content words, the nouns, verbs, and adjectives that hold the real meaning. 2. To write faster, ditch the vowels. Problem just becomes PRBLM. And 3. Create your own shorthand with symbols, an up arrow for increase, a down arrow for decrease. This is how you start taking notes as fast as they can talk.
But great notes are useless if you don't know what to write down. And that's where a more fundamental skill comes into play: Active listening. This is the difference between just letting sounds wash over you and truly engaging with what's being said. So how do you do it? First, zoom out. Focus on the big picture, the main story, not every single word you don't recognize. Listen for those transition words like however or in conclusion. They're like big flashing signs pointing to important ideas. Pay super close attention to tone. And always ask yourself, why is the professor telling me this? And hey, maybe even take a cue from that Reddit user and try to see the scene in your mind.
All right, now you have the techniques. The final piece of the puzzle is practice. You need to build up that mental muscle, that stamina, to stay laser-focused for that full 36-minute section. Here's a little toolkit to get you going. Nothing beats the official ETS practice materials. They're the most realistic. For academic stuff, TED Talks and the 60-Second Science podcast are absolutely fantastic. To get used to different accents, switch between listening to NPR from the US and the BBC from the UK. And for some awesome strategy breakdowns, channels like TST Prep on YouTube are pure gold.
Okay, let's bring it all home. This is your test day checklist. First, you know the 6 common traps, so you can spot them a mile away. Second, you're going to create your own personal note-taking system. Third, you're going to make active listening your default mode, always hunting for the big ideas. And finally, you're going to practice with a timer to build that killer stamina.
So, there you go. You now have the map and the tools. That anxiety you might have started with, we can replace that with a clear, actionable plan. So, the only question left is, what's your first move? Are you going to master your note-taking symbols, or maybe fire up a TED Talk to work on that active listening? Your journey to acing this thing starts right now.